Lian Chengyu looks back at Yi Yun unhappily. Yi Yun looks around at all the people on the bird. She climbs up on the bird and sits behind everyone. The man informs them that the flight to the Tao tribe is not an easy one, and if anyone falls out, let them kick it on themselves. The bird flies swiftly toward the sky. Yi Yun sees it as a great opportunity to practice balance and concentration. Yi Yun looks around at the guy in front. They fly swiftly through the snowstorm. Yi Yun is slightly focused on his balance. Yi Yun wonders what kind of time the guy found to attack. Yi Yun asks the guy if he's afraid of crashing. The guy yells that his father is sick and only the Lian clan can save him. With tears in his eyes, he says he is not afraid of death. Yi Yun explains that the guy isn't going to kill him or accomplish anything with this. Yi Yun yells for the guy to hold on tight, for they are flying over a cliff. The guy excitedly thanks Yi Yun, and Yun really shouldn't relax. Yi Yun notices the Tao tribe in the distance as well. He shouts joyfully that they are almost there. Yi Yun had recently not died from Qi Lin's overflowing energy. Old Man Su talked about 10 years, but Yi Yun had already absorbed almost everything. After arriving at the Tao tribe, Lian Chengyu stopped pestering Yi Yun. Yi Yun realizes that someone is trying to follow him. Under Jin Lunwei's supervision, it would be impossible for someone to do something. Yi Yun decides not to be distracted by such trivialities. A crowd of tribesmen had gathered. Lian Chengyu bowed, recognizing the achievements of the Tao tribe. Yun Xiao confirms how the people of the Tao tribe have been living in prosperity for many years. However, Yun Xiao would still think about Lian Chengyu. Lian Chengyu doesn't understand what young master Yun Xiao wants to say. A man bursts into their dialogue, grudgingly wanting to know what's going on. Mr. Yun Xiao lightly swipes his fan. Using a fan, he knocks the man to the ground. Lian Chengyu takes note of how strong the young master is. Yi Yun approaches, wondering what kind of sneaky flatterer Mr. Lian is. Lian Chengyu looks back at Yi Yun in surprise. Yun Xiao is interested in Yi Yun by Lian Chengyu. Lian Chengyu says that Yi Yun is already a mature guy, but very willful. Yi Yun says that there is no point in pestering Mr. Lian anymore. After all, his body is already not in the best shape. Yun Xiao laughs, as watching the small tribe skirmish is extremely fun. Yun Xiao should focus on something more interesting. He tells Lian Chengyu that the assignment is to find an incredibly beautiful maiden who is perfect to be Yun Xiao's bride. Lian Chengyu wondered if girls could participate in the competition. Yun Xiao only says that Lian Chengyu doesn't know much yet. Lian Chengyu will take young master Yun Xiao's wisdom into consideration. Xin Tong notices Yi Yun through the window. Su Jie was glad that Yi Yun had saved him the trouble of finding him. Teacher says they have a couple days, and in the meantime, they'll see what Yi Yun is made of. Xin Tong asks her teacher if she can meet Yi Yun. Teacher allows Xin Tong to meet Yi Yun cancer treatment for her cursed yin. Xin Tong happily thanks his teacher. Yi Yun is bored in the middle of the street. Suddenly the man announces for there to be silence. Zhan Tan announces that the first round of the Taihe Divine Realm competition will begin tomorrow at noon. He asks all the warriors to show their bravery. People among themselves are equalized by their levels. Lian Chengyu tells Yi Yun to behave himself. Yi Yun expects that Mr. Lian is going to stab him in the back once again. Zhan Tan asks for silence. He asks everyone to get out of the way if they value their lives. The men step back grimly. Zhan Tan takes out a small horn from the box. The horn rises into the air and the people around are surprised. Zhan Tan reiterates for them to stay away if one is not bored of living. There is a powerful blue energy emanating from the horn. The man recoils fearfully as the energy almost touches him. Everyone scatters to their sides. Yi Yun notices that it is the horn of a strong wild beast. Zhan Tan talks about hardness of mind. Immense strength will be useless in the hands of a coward. He says that everyone should have a strong will that can withstand this kind of pressure. The warriors lie on the ground frightened by the huge spirit. Yi Yun notices a huge spirit looming over him. Yi Yun's amethyst begins to absorb the enormous spirit energy. Yi Yun realizes that he needs to urgently strengthen his control over the amethyst. John Tan announces that those who approach him will pass the first test. Lian Chengyu approaches Yi Yun and hopes he will be able to break through the intense pressure. The warriors are in no hurry to pass the first test. Yun Xiao doesn't think that Lian Chengyu has the strength to seriously compete with him. Yun Xiao marvels at Yi Yun's luck, that he's still hanging on. Lian Chengyu says that the young master should look out for complete luck. Yi Yun's spirit energy overflows. He can feel how fierce and unstoppable this energy is. The spirit energy rejects Yi Yun. Yi Yun realizes that the energy is trying to tear him to pieces. Yi Yun won't let that happen. The martial arts master looks danger in the face and does not fear death. There was no way Yi Yun would lose to a huge spirit and take his first steps. Yun Xiao has 11 steps left. He wonders if there are still such daredevils. He looks around and notices those weaklings who are only worthy of bowing down to Yun Xiao. He sees that Lian Chengyu is doing well. Suddenly, a shadow covers Yun Xiao and he looks up. A flying ship appears in the sky. Yun Xiao is surprised that that pretty girl decided to come to take a look at him. Xin Tong wondered why there was so much ostentation. The teacher explains that they should put on the most revealing show possible so that Yi Yun will be imbued with awe since Xin Tong wants to see him. Xin Tong asks if Su Jie is curious how Yi Yun is doing. Su Jie is more interested in how the chicken is cooked than what he eats. Xin Tong sighed and looked back at Yi Yun, looking through the window of the ship. Yi Yun diligently takes steps towards John Tan. Yi Yun's nose is bleeding, but he's holding on and going forward. Xin Tong wonders where Yi Yun gets so much courage from. Su Jie finally had enough food. Xin Tong reports that Yi Yun looks strange, and something has changed since their last meeting. Su Jie recognizes that something is really wrong. One of the warriors gives up and walks away. At Yi Yun's feet, a man crawled to the last, but he falls exhaustedly to the ground, and Yun needs to put pressure from inside and outside. His fortified body should be able to withstand it, and Yun needs to choose the best way to control the flow of spirit energy. He notices that this beast emits a colossal amount of its energy. Yi Yun's bones were already cracking, and his blood was boiling from this kind of pressure. Xin Tong wants to find out what's wrong with Yi Yun. Su Jie says that Yi Yun is gradually getting stronger. He clarifies that with each step, Yi Yun's energy strengthens the body and will. Lian Chengyu took 20 steps and 10 breaths. He looks back at Yi Yun, who is walking behind him. Mr. Yun Xiao can feel the pressure increase 100 times at a distance of 10 steps. Suddenly, he hears some sound and looks around. Yi Yun chooses all or nothing going forward. Strong streams of energy accumulated behind Yi Yun, strengthening Yi Yun's body. John Tan, Yun Xiao, and Lian Chengyu look back, wondering what is happening to Yi Yun. Xin Tong notices that Yi Yun has just peaked. Yi Yun feels the peak of the mortal blood level, the Qi Gatherer stage. Yi Yun needs to continue, but he is hungry. Yi Yun realizes that he has attracted too much attention. Yi Yun is getting closer and closer to Lian Chengyu. Lian Chengyu looks back at Yi Yun. Yi Yun shows Lian Chengyu his little finger. Mr. Yun Xiao remarks that Yi Yun is interesting. Yi Yun also shows Mr. Yun Xiao his pinky finger. Yi Yun peers at them as he takes a couple more steps forward. Mr. Yun Xiao unhappily turns around and steps further away. He is gradually approaching Zhan Tan. Su Ji laughs as Yi Yun shows everyone his pinky finger. Xin Tong wondered how Yi Yun was suddenly able to break through during the trial. The teacher explains that when a martial artist is under intense pressure, he can make a breakthrough to the next stage. Xin Tong tries to find out where this kind of energy consumption comes from then. Su Jie pondered over it, thinking it was strange. Yi Yun shouts forward that he's on his way. Mr. Yun Xiao takes diligent steps forward, and Yun felt much easier to walk. Yi Yun looked back at Lian Chengyu, trying to figure out what the latter was up to. Lian Chengyu remarks on what kind of hero Yi Yun is to them. Yi Yun replies that all their squabbles will end sooner or later. Lian Chengyu falls silent as Yi Yun walks ahead of him. Mr. Yun Xiao can't go any further. Yi Yun approaches Yun Xiao, taking note of how strong he is. Yun Xiao is surprised when Yi Yun steps further than him. John Tan grabbed Yi Yun and asks if Yi Yun has broken through to the next stage. Yi Yun bows down and confirms John Tan's words. John Tan asks if Yi Yun can come up another step or two. Yi Yun explains that he's not that talented, but will do his best. Yi Yun gradually steps forward. A huge spirit burst out and headed towards Yi Yun. John Tan notices the danger. A huge spirit approached Yi Yun. He leans towards Yi Yun, smelling a familiar scent. He remembers and threateningly tells Yi Yun that he was the one who was that beast lord back then. John Tan quickly seals the spirit back into the horn. He did it just in time. Yi Yun doesn't understand which beast master he was referring to. John Tan declares the first round of the Taihei Divine Realm competition to be over. Qin Tong moves along a path in the forest. She turns to Yi Yun, saying that Yi Yun had just passed the qualifying round but decided to continue practicing right away. Yi Yun hears a familiar voice and turns around, wanting to know what brought Qin Tong here. Yi Yun remembers that he didn't thank her and bows slightly. Qin Tong smiles sweetly. Qin Tong says it's okay and asks Yi Yun to follow her. She asks Yi Yun to give the vault a hand. Yi Yun is embarrassed as he touches Qin Tong's cold hand. Qin Tong tells Yi Yun not to let go of her hand. She is about to attack and asks Yi Yun to dodge. Yi Yun doesn't realize if this is a joke. Qin Tong asks her to hit her with her fist as fast and hard as Yi Yun can. It would be a bit difficult for Yi Yun to do that when they are holding each other's hands. Qin Tong firmly asks and Yun beats. Yi Yun directs his fist with great speed towards Qin Tong. She dodges Yi Yun's fist, asking if Yi Yun understood everything, because now it's not the turn. Yi Yun notices a similar strike from Qin Tong. He realizes that Qin Tong's punch is many times faster than his. Qin Tong pulled Yi Yun's body, performing a dodge. Qin Tong asks Yi Yun to explain what just happened from a fighter's point of view. Yi Yun explains to her that Qin Tong pulled his body while making a dodge when he was hit. Qin Tong tells us that this is a special technique and asks us to use our body and eyes to feel the meridians. Yi Yun is quick to grasp everything. Qin Tong continues to throw punches that Yi Yun didn't expect. Qin Tong remarks that Yi Yun has held up pretty well with hundreds of punches. Qin Tong gives Yi Yun one chance to hit her. Yi Yun asks Qin Tong in advance not to be disconsolate. Yi Yun quickly moves, about to hit Qin Tong with his fist. He pats her chest and worries if that was too much. Qin Tong says that Yi Yun is doing the right thing. She explains that she has an unusual body structure, so she really needs Yi Yun. Qin Tong takes out a small handkerchief for Yi Yun. She holds out clothes and a pill to Yi Yun, after which they will need to go somewhere. Yi Yun wonders why Qin Tong needs him so much. Qin Tong asks to follow her. Yi Yun takes the pill. He trusts Qin Tong. Yi Yun would definitely repay Qin Tong for his assistance. Qin Tong agrees and sets foot with Yi Yun on the road. Yi Yun follows Qin Tong and wonders where they are going. Qin Tong replies that they are going deep into the wild plains. Qin Tong and Yi Yun walk further into the depths. All this time, Lian Chengyu had been watching Yi Yun and Qin Tong. Qin Tong tells Yi Yun to take her hand, because they're going to a place that's easier to reach by air. Yi Yun doesn't understand how this place can be reached by air. Qin Tong takes Yi Yun's hand and leaps up. Yi Yun is surprised from such height and beauty in the sky. Qin Tong tells them that their goal is a mountain nearby. The Snake Valleys. Yi Yun didn't think that there were such valleys in the wild plains. Qin Tong tells us that this place has powerful negative energy, which is harmful to humans but beneficial to wild beasts. Shin Tong asks Yi Yun to stay one step behind her. Yi Yun realizes that Shin Tong is going to hunt the purple blood-level beast. Shin Tong says that this is the nest of these beasts. She explains that it will be great martial practice for Yi Yun, and Shin Tong will recycle the bones of the snakes he killed. Shin Tong and Yi Yun arrived at the beast's nest. Shin Tong pulls out his sword to clear the way. It strikes all the small snakes in its path with a slight movement. Yi Yun is surprised by Shin Tong's terrifying power. In the distance, you can see two bright eyes that glow with a red glow. Suddenly, a huge white snake pounces on them, about to bite them. Shin Tong stops the snake by drawing his sword. Shin Tong will keep the snake alive if the beast can defeat the man behind Shin Tong's back. Yi Yun is surprised that the snake understands human language. Shin Tong explains that all wild beasts listen to the words of the strongest. Shin Tong asks Yi Yun not to worry so much and even gives him his sword. Yi Yun tightly clutched Shin Tong's sword in his hand. With this safety net, Yi Yun would be able to fight as long as he wanted. The snake releases a powerful energy towards Yi Yun. Yi Yun diligently swings Shin Tong's sword away. Suddenly, the snake is already on the other side of Yi Yun, preparing to attack him. In the blink of an eye, Yi Yun notices a snake attacking him. Yi Yun points the other man's sword at the snake's scales. The snake's scales are too strong to be penetrated so easily. Yi Yun notices that the snake is trying to catch him off guard. Yi Yun sees the snake attacking already from above. Yi Yun manages to dodge the snake's strike. Yi Yun realizes that if he doesn't give it his best shot, he's screwed. Yi Yun instantly leaps up towards the snake. He swiftly points his sword forward, about to strike the snake. While the snake was looking behind the sword, Yi Yun hits it on the chin with his fist. Yi Yun now sees that the snake's chin defense is much worse. While the snake is in a daze, Yi Yun swings for the next sword strike. He runs his sword along the entire length of the snake. Yi Yun already thought that the snake had lost, but suddenly he notices something beside him. He then dodges a huge rock that could have hit him. Yi Yun sees the snake now wielding this huge crystal. The snake is about to hit Yi Yun with a stone again. Yi Yun stops the snake's strike with his sword. He holds the sword firmly under the pressure of the stone. There are powerful streams of energy emanating from Yi Yun. He gradually enters the strong snake crystal with his sword. Suddenly, many cracks begin to appear on the stone. Yi Yun shatters the crystal into many small particles with his sword. Yi Yun stood his ground with a glance at the defeated serpent. This was to be expected, after which Shin Tong notices the strong aura and wonders what Yi Yun is up to. Yi Yun concertizes the energy around him. Shin Tong realizes that Yi Yun is going to break through right now. The sea of consciousness inside Yi Yun is furiously churning. Energy hits the rocks, splashing water on them. A powerful water tornado forms inside. Shin Tong sees purple blood and silver radiance. She's alert when she senses danger. She catches the shuriken that flew at Yi Yun with her hand and asks whoever is hiding to show up. Mr. Lian Chengyu steps out into the moonlight, affirming the danger here. Shin Tong doesn't understand what Lian Chengyu is talking about. Lian Chengyu talks about the gift of breaking through to the next level. Yi Yun asks Shin Tong to step back and says it's his personal business. Lian Chengyu believes that this has already crossed personal boundaries. He claims that Yi Yun must have forgotten that beast invasion that happened 10 years ago. Yi Yun doesn't understand what it has to do with him and why bring the past to the present. Lian Chengyu tells how exactly he lost his entire family back then. Lian Chengyu says that Yi Yun is only alive because of his parents' sacrifice. Lian Chengyu tells of the appearance of purple clouds, the endangered wild spiritual beasts. He had suspected that Yi Yun's sister was a spy, but now it was clear to him that Yi Yun himself was the child of a wild spirit beast. Yi Yun asks Lian Chengyu to stop talking some nonsense. He seems to want more suffering. Lian Chengyu turns to the young mistress of the upper class, for she must know what this blood crystal is. Lian Chengyu asks Mrs. Lin not to stop him from ridding the world of the devil's spawn. After shattering the red crystal, Lian Chungyu's body began to increase significantly. Lian Chungyu would avenge his parents and tribe by killing Yi Yun. Yi Yun doesn't understand what kind of nonsense Lian Chungyu is talking about. Shin Tong explains that this blood crystal is the real thing. She asks Yi Yun to be more careful. Yi Yun and Lian Chungyu swiftly pounced at each other. Lian Chungyu menacingly wishes Yi Yun's death. They both clench their fists tightly, getting ready to strike. Lian Chungyu doesn't have time to hit Yi Yun, as Yi Yun is already knocking his hand away. Yi Yun shafts Lian Chungyu, striking him with his fist. He defends himself as Lian Chungyu tries to fight back against Yi Yun. Yi Yun kicked Lian Chungyu's stomach with power. Lian Chungyu is tossed aside, but he quickly stops. Yi Yun realizes that the strength of his and Lian Chungyu's strikes are equal. It looks like this night is going to be a long one. Lian Chungyu's body deformed even more, and large lights formed in his hands. Lian Chungyu is going to show Yi Yun the true power of the wild wasteland. He heads towards Yi Yun with a large fire in his hand. Shin Tong reports that the blood crystal has enhanced Lian Chungyu to a wild beast-level lord, and asks Yi Yun to dodge. Yi Yun dodged a powerful punch from Lian Chungyu's hand. However, the trace of Lian Chungyu's fire cuts Yi Yun's skin like a knife. Lian Chungyu remembered that 10 years ago, the wild tribe child belonged to the Jue Yan wolf bloodline. Shin Tong realizes that Yi Yun has a better chance in this battle. Yi Yun doesn't see where this is all relevant. Shin Tong tells him that Lian Chungyu's body won't be able to withstand the tide of Jue Yan's blood crystal wolf energy. If Lian Chungyu continued to use their strength in such a crude manner, Lian Chungyu would simply burst from the overflowing qi. Lian Chungyu rudely responded to everything Mrs. Shin Tong said. Shin Tong explains that she only wanted to say that Lian Chungyu didn't have long to live. Lian Chungyu gets angry and delivers a powerful punch, which Yi Yun successfully dodges. Yi Yun steps aside, dodging a punch from Lian Chungyu. A small flame let off a beam of energy, thus piercing through Yi Yun's arm when he didn't expect it. Yi Yun notices these energy-shooting clots. The lights once again hit with beams of energy, which Yi Yun dodged every time. Lian Chungyu shouts that soon there will be an extra hole in Yi Yun's heart. He will suffer the death that only cowards like Yi Yun deserve according to Lian Chungyu. Yi Yun says that he was just strengthening his newly acquired strength. Lian Chungyu once again wishes for Yi Yun's death. Lian Chungyu attacks, and two powerful beams of energy are thrust at Yi Yun. Yi Yun dodged all three streams of energy. Yi Yun notices Lian already near him and prepares to strike. Lian Chungyu rolls Yi Yun to the ground with his surprise punch. Lian Chungyu is already swinging for the next strike on Yi Yun's face. Suddenly he feels a sharp pain and lowers his fist. Yi Yun delivers a powerful kick to Lian Chungyu's chest. Yi Yun will win. Yi Yun's punch was for the people that Lian Chungyu had killed. Lian exhaustedly started coughing up blood. Yi Yun is about to throw another punch, but for himself. He once again punched Lian Chungyu's chest with power, knocking him to the ground. Yi Yun decides to let Lian Chungyu live to prove his innocence, so Yi Yun only gives Lian Chungyu one more blow. Yi Yun lifts Lian Chungyu to her feet by her clothes. Yi Yun prepares for the third strike. For his sister, Jian Xiaoju. Soon he strikes the blow he had planned. Shin Tong asks Yi Yun why he wants to do all this. Suddenly, a girl's voice is heard asking the same thing as Shin Tong. Yi Yun turns around, trying to see who else is here. Shin Tong becomes ill, and she faints, falling to the ground. A strange and tall silhouette is seen in the distance. A guy on a big bull comes out of the red smoke. He notices an aura that is much stronger than Sister Shin Tong. Guy tells how 10 years ago a wolf lord traveled with him, but unfortunately lost his son. He looks at Yi Yun, saying that it is a great happiness to find him here today. Yi Yun immediately asks the guy Yar who he is and what he did to Shin Tong. Guy replies that what Yi Yun should be worried about right now is that she is controlling her anger towards Yi Yun for now. He asks if Yi Yun wants to know why this is so. Yi Yun is very wary. After that, boyfriend notices Yi Yun's good skills. Yi Yun is surprised, not realizing how strong this guy is. Yi Yun doesn't understand what the guy is trying to say with all this. The guy explains that he's just teasing Yi Yun. He then uses his strength to lift Lian Chungyu's body. He lays Lian Chungyu's body behind him. Yi Yun notices that the guy is from a wild tribe. Yi Yun reminds the guy of an old friend of his. Guy touches Yi Yun's chest, absorbs the energies, and says that if she had the same will as Yi Yun, there would be less problems. Yi Yun falls to the ground exhaustedly, not realizing who the man was talking about. The bull rider leaves, saying that there are 2 more flies and 1 old beaver hanging around, so the guy will leave Yi Yun to them. Yi Yun lost all his strength and closed his eyes. A girl and her boyfriend come to stake out the divine kingdom of Tai. It's convenient for them to have such an occasion. The guy picks up Yi Yun and throws him on his shoulder, asking what to do with Shin Tong nearby. The girl explains that Shin Tong is their Lin family, and they should not be pressured by the enemy. The guy decides to take Yi Yun and then try to beat as much information out of him as possible. Su Jia suddenly stands in front of these people, wondering where they were going. The girl is bowing to Su Jia. She's heard about him. Su Jia doesn't understand how dare some heavenly dragon realm elder like her insult the Lin family. She explains, saying that Su Jia just misunderstood everything. She says that they were chasing the shepherd and it was all for the safety of the people. Su Jia asks not to talk nonsense. After all, they didn't bring Yi Yun with them for the safety of the people. They say they were observing the situation from cover. And Yi Yun, meanwhile, was having a very friendly chat with the shepherd. Su Jia doesn't believe a word these people say. He takes Yi Yun out of their hands and quickly runs away. Su Jia resents that Yi Yun is seriously injured and survived the encounter with the shepherd, and these people dare to treat him like this. He says that Yi Yun is a disciple of his friend Wen Yun Ho, a sage of the Taihei kingdom. Su Jia clarifies whether those want to start a war by capturing representatives of the neighboring side. The girl tells her partner that Su Jia knows they don't have any evidence. They'll deal with it later. The girl says how rumors reached her that Su Jia is planning to explore the hidden world, so they still have time to come up with the right excuse for the right action. They leave the mountains, and Su Jia shouts in their wake. The next day came. Yi Yun opens his eyes and notices Mr. Su, calling him Uncle Beaver. Su Jia is outraged at Yi Yun's words and threatens to slap Yi Yun. Yi Yun awkwardly recoils and apologizes, explaining that it was just him being delusional. Yi Yun notices Shin Tong and Jun Tan in front of him. Su Jia comments that Yi Yun has gotten himself into trouble. Mr. Su says that if it wasn't for his disciple, he would have had to execute Yi Yun by now. Jun Tan starts to say that Yi Yun won't be sent to prison, given the testimony of Mrs. Lin and Master Su. Jun Tan pulls out his weapon, pointing it at Yi Yun. He says that everything about the shepherd concerns the safety of their kingdom, so he asks Yi Yun to tell everything. Yi Yun realizes the unpleasant situation he's gotten himself into. First, Yi Yun wants to know who this shepherd is. Jun Tan is indignant that Yi Yun is acting so brazenly, even with a sword in front of his face. And Yun doesn't know anything about this shepherd, so he doesn't even know where to start. Yi Yun yells that they should tell it like it is then. Yi Yun doesn't really want to die in ignorance. Mr. Su interrupts Yi Yun to stop acting like a child. Su Jia vouches for Yi Yun. He asks Jung Tan to inform his superiors and provide Su Jia with a communication stone. Mr. Su tells us that the shepherd is a fierce beast and behind him is an army of wild beasts of the wasteland. Yi Yun told John Tan everything he knew. John Tan reports that from Yi Yun's testimony, it comes out that the guy from the Lian tribe is even more suspicious. John Tan asks what Yi Yun Yu has to do with the Yunlun Holy Kingdom. This is the first time Yi Yun hears of the Yunlun Kingdom. Su Jia says that those two thieving individuals only wanted to hurt Yi Yun, and he had nothing to do with it. He adds that the shepherd hardly cares about the enmity between the two countries. People notice how Su Jia's communication stone starts to make some sounds. Mr. Su realizes that old man Wen Yun Ho has finally gotten the message. Su Jia asks Zhang Tan to follow him, and he replies to Wen Yun Ho over the communication stone. Xin Tong turns to Yi Yun, saying that because of her, Yi Yun was involved in all of this. Yi Yun only says that it's all Lian Chengyu's fault. Suddenly, Yi wonders if Mrs. Lin is all right. Xin Tong replies that she's fine and asks not to worry. Yi Yun asks Xin Tong if she knows anything about this shepherd. Xin Tong tells us that humans and wild beasts have been fighting to the death for many years. But because of these battles, there are so many martial artists in the world. She adds that on top of that, humanity has to face not only wild beasts, but also more mysterious wild men. Xin Tong tells us that the shepherd is one of the most terrifying beast lords known to them. The shepherd is followed by a huge number of fierce beasts and wild creatures. In terms of strength, they are at the level of ancient relics or even supreme ancient bloodline. She explains that the calamity that wiped out innumerable tribes in the wild plains in the past is the work of a shepherd. Xin Tong talks about the ordinary tribes who only have to pray for being ignored by higher beings. Yi Yun had so much new information for himself. Su Jia and Zhang Tan walk back inside. They are done with everything. Yi Yun wondered what Zhang Tan had decided with Mr. Su. Zhang Tan tells Yi Yun that he deservedly won first place in the qualifying round. Yi Yun is also accepted into the special division of the Taihei Kingdom. Mr. Su reveals that Yi Yun's opponent will be Tao Yunhei, the runner-up in the qualifiers. Su Jia asks Zhang Tan if this will be too easy a test for Yi Yun. Zhang Tan asks Mr. Su not to joke around like this, because the safety of the Taihei Kingdom is at stake. Su Jia points out that Zhang Tian himself agreed to such a condition. Zhang Tan realized that the Qi Gatherer stage and the purple blood level are at completely different stages. Mr. Su asks Zhang Tian to take a closer look, properly. Zhang Tan looks at Yi Yun, surprised that he had already reached the purple blood level. Su Jia points out that the fruit only ripens over time. Zhang Tan bows and promises to follow Mr. Su's plan. Su Jia sees Zhang Tan off, wishing to meet again someday. Xin Tong sighs worriedly, and Yi Yun asks her what's wrong. Xin Tong tells me that the teacher is going to track down the shepherd tomorrow. Yi Yun realizes that Mr. Su is probably very strong and can stand up for himself. Xin Tong asks her not to fill her head with such things. She will take care of Yi Yun to prepare him for the duel. A short while later, Yi Yun was on the podium, preparing for the duel. Suddenly, Yi Yun notices a bright eye near him, not realizing what it is. At the ancient altar of the Tao tribe, someone was gathering. The man asks the young man to repeat again the reason for collecting them. Yun Xiao reiterates that he came to the elders to obtain a ritual blade, to punish the beast with his own hands. The man tells him that this sword is overflowing with poisonous energy, and the divine realm of Tai will not tolerate such evil. He places the sword in young master Yun Xiao's hands and tells him to beware of the consequences. Yun Xiao cuts his hand for the ritual, nourishing the sword with blood. Mr. Yun Xiao flings his sword into the burning cauldron. The sword reacts, emitting streams of energy. Mr. Yun Xiao pulls out a sword that had already completely changed, covered in fire. Yun Xiao warned that if the true reason for using this blade became known, the conflict between the countries would escalate. Soon, Yun Xiao appears in the arena with his blade. He notices that the duel with Yi Yun won't be easy. Yun Xiao is stepping closer. We can't keep the audience waiting any longer. Yun Xiao points a blade at Yi Yun, telling him to pray to all the gods he knows and prepare for battle. Yi Yun reminds him that he has won all the qualifiers and asks if Yun Xiao himself is ready. Young Master only replies that it's none of Yi Yun's business. Setting up for a fight, Yi Yun says to start their duel. Yi Yun takes note of Yun Xiao's strange blade. Yun Xiao quickly moves at Yi Yun directly with his blade. Yi Yun easily dodges a possible strike from Mr. Yun Xiao. Yun Xiao looks around and wonders if Yi Yun wants to compete in speed. Yun Xiao instantly fires a few quick punches. Yi Yun notices how fast they are while dodging. Yun Xiao resolutely continues to deliver swift blade strikes. Yi Yun thinks he is being overly intrusive. Yi Yun continues to deftly dodge Yun Xiao's blade. Zhang Tan and Xin Tong watches the duel while sitting in the stands. Zhang Tan praises how Yi Yun is doing well, also not using evil weapons like his opponent. It won't be easy for Yi Yun. Xin Tong notices how worried Zhang Tan is, so she asks if Zhang Tan has had time to get attached to Yi Yun. Zhang Tan awkwardly replies that he is a little attached. He wouldn't want to extradite Yi Yun to another country. We return to the swath where Yun Xiao is getting tired, and notices that Yi Yun is holding up pretty well. Yi Yun is happy to hear this, and encourages Yun Xiao to continue the duel. Yun Xiao decides to use his blood, since he can't get Yi Yun's blood. He performs a blood sacrifice by wounding himself with a blade. Yun Xiao gathers the power of a huge snake in the clinic. He's concentrating and is about to land a powerful punch. Yi Yun abruptly dodges Yun Xiao's powerful punch and the flow of his energy. Yi Yun abruptly retreats to the side as Yun Xiao once again almost reaches Yi Yun with his blade. Yun Xiao continued with a series of powerful punches, but now trying to knock Yi Yun off his feet. Yun realizes that he will have to jump while dodging his opponent's blade. Yun Xiao launched another powerful punch with a stream of energy towards Yi Yun. Yi Yun resolutely closes his eyes and concentrates when the blade is about to touch him. Yi Yun becomes as light as a feather, easily dodging Yun Xiao's blade. Mr. Yun Xiao is shocked when Yi Yun bridges the long distance between them and remains alive. Xin Tong recognizes Yi Yun's movements. He was light as a feather. Xin Tong and Yi Yun's training was not in vain. Mr. Yun Xiao menacingly summons the serpent heavenly blade to strike Yi Yun. Yi Yun notices how Yun Xiao was about to use the dark power of the sword. Yun Xiao has a lot of courage. Yun Xiao produces a transformation of his blade. He directs a stream of many dark snakes towards Yi Yun. Snakes flew past Yi Yun, gathering in a huge pile. Zhang Tan is surprised that the Tao tribe also has swordmasters. Xin Tong wants to know what the Yun Xiao blade is known for. He says that Jin Lun Wei is not some second-rate organization, but it is the mastery of the Snake Heaven Blade. Zhang Tan says that it is a skill of the Serpent Heavenly Blade, also known as Death Dungeon. He says it's more like magic than a martial arts skill. Yi Yun is surrounded by many snakes. Yi Yun senses this and concentrates when the snakes attack him. Yi Yun's movements once again become as light as a feather, but the snakes catch that very feather. Yun Xiao was surprised that Yi Yun hadn't fought until now. He suggests Yi Yun to start already, because Yun Xiao has no time to play with Yi Yun. Mr. Yun Xiao once again aims his blade at Yi Yun to make a strike. Yi Yun accumulates energy in his fist, causing the tiger to roar. Zhang Tan is surprised when strong pulses of glow and energy appear in the arena. Yi Yun's tiger roar goes through all of Yun Xiao's snakes, striking them. Zhang Tan does not believe that Yi Yun has the skill of shaping life energy. Yun Xiao realizes that things are bad and this could be the end of him. A powerful energy strikes all the snakes, and Yun Xiao's broken blade falls to the ground. The defeated Yun Xiao is also already lying on the ground after the tiger's roar. Yi Yun stands firm after his punch. Yi Yun's fist began to bleed. Shin Tong comes down from the podium to Yi Yun. Yi Yun is declared the winner of this duel. Shin Tong asks Yi Yun not to move, she will heal his wounds. Yi Yun wondered if the relics from the bones of the wild plains could heal. Shin Tong explains that if one uses the Desolate Heaven special technique on them, they are able to heal. Yi Yun wondered if it had many uses. Shin Tong briefly tells us that it is also used to control internal energy, and Yun should definitely learn such a technique. Yi Yun politely asks Shin Tong to give him medicine to cure his wounds. Yi Yun thanks Shin Tong as she gives him one medicine to cure his wounds. There is no enmity between Yi Yun and Yun Xiao, so Yi Yun gives him medicine so that he can treat his wounds with it. Yi Yun advises Yun Xiao to get Yi Yun's favor. She helps a lot in the development of martial arts. Yun Xiao laughs exhaustedly at Yi Yun's words. He had never met someone so brazen who dared to lecture Yun Xiao on virtue before. Yi Yun asks, "Doesn't that make him special in the eyes of others?" Jian Tan walks over to Yi Yun, congratulating and condoling Yi Yun at the same time. Yi Yun turns around, not understanding what Jian Tan wants to say with this. Jian Tan explains that Yi Yun will only have a day to say goodbye to his relatives before he hands Yi Yun over to the authorities. Later, Yi Yun will have to pass with him. Shin Tong was surprised that Jian Tan had decided to retract his words given to Yi Yun. Yi Yun says that he better listen to Jian Tan and not complicate the whole situation. Jian Tan says that the place where Yi Yun resides, Jin Shu, is a good place. Yi Yun's family has nothing to fear. Shin Tong wishes to accompany Yi Yun to his family on his own, as it will be faster than riding a beast. She holds out her hand to Yi Yun and forgives his grip. Shin Tong, holding Yi Yun's hand, leaps up with him. Yi Yun didn't expect Shin Tong to help him in this way. Shin Tong asks if Yi Yun has ever considered leaving this land. Yi Yun doesn't understand what Madam Lin is talking about right now. Shin Tong, it seems that Yi Yun is destined for something bigger. Yi Yun confidently says he's ready to meet his fate and smack her right between the eyes. Shin Tong is busy with Yi Yun's words and attitude. Yi Yun appears at home and opens the door, informing Sister Xiaozhou that he has returned. Jian Xiaozhou runs to Yi Yun, immediately hugging him. Yi Yun apologizes, telling Jian Xiaozhou that he will have to go his own way after this meeting. Jian Xiaozhou cries and hugs her brother, saying that everything is fine and she understands him. Shin Tong realizes that she shouldn't change Yi Yunya and Jian Xiaozhou right now. Yi Yun comes down from the tree hut. He turns to Shin Tong, offering to eat some of the home cooking he has prepared. Shin prefers to refrain from eating, as she doesn't love it as much as her teacher. Shin Tong remembers Yi Yun saying that he wanted to study the Desolate Heaven technique. Shin Tong takes out a scroll that Yi Yun would have to study first. Yi Yun awkwardly scratched the back of his head. Shin Tong interjects to ask if Yi Yun is going to learn this technique. Yi Yun answers her that he will definitely study the Desolate Heaven technique. Shin Tong puts the scroll in Yi Yun's hands, wishing him good luck. Yi Yun raises his gaze to Mrs. Lin. Shin Tong lifts up again, moving away from Yi Yun. Yi Yun recalls the words that the grass is only green outside the tall pagoda. On the ancient road, Yi Yun sighed, not understanding what the vicissitudes of life were. Yi Yun returns to the tree hut and calls out to Sister Xiaozhou. A guy and a girl are walking through the woods. They're almost there. Before Jin Lunwei gets to them, they need to do everything quickly, but approaches Yi Yun's hut. The man can no longer sense the Lin family members in the neighborhood. The man folds his arms and builds up energy, saying that only death awaits Yi Yun now. A powerful stream of energy flows through the tree with the hut. The powerful explosion after the beam of energy rolls the tree to the ground. Jian Xiaozhou unconsciously lay on the ground as their hut collapsed. The man lifts up Jian Xiaozhou, telling Yi Yun that if he wishes to save the man he holds dear, then let him report immediately. There's a fire going around. The man is waiting for Yi Yun to appear. He raises his sword to Jian Xiaoju, and since Yi Yun doesn't want to be nice, he asks not to be discourteous for being disrespectful. Suddenly, Yi Yun, with the might in his fist, is heading towards the man that is holding his sister. The man notices Yi Yun looming behind him. The man chuckles when Yi Yun was prevented from attacking by something. A powerful stream of energy comes from the girl behind the tree, which throws Yi Yun off. The man notices the girl's cruelty. She only says that if you don't do it right, you'll have to deal with unnecessary problems in the future. An exhausted Yi Yun asks what those want from him and Jian Xiaoju. The man tells Yi Yun to be patient and enjoy the show. He throws Jian Xiaoju to the ground. The flames come closer and closer. The man tells Yi Yun to lie still because everything will be resolved soon. The girl next to him tells the man that everything is ready and it's up to him. Yi Yun is horrified, not realizing what is coming. Suddenly, the man starts to be overwhelmed by wild energy. Yi Yun feels the aura of this wild energy. Yi Yun is frightened as how much a strong man was killed in the blink of an eye. The man's entire chi energy became wild and uncontrollable. Yi Yun pressed Jian Xiaoju against him, noticing something amiss. A powerful explosion destroys a strong man. A girl notices a shepherd. She has been waiting for the shepherd to appear for a long time. The silhouette of a shepherd can be seen high in the sky. The shepherd gives the girl a chance to escape while she's still in one piece. She asks the girl at the same time to tell her what the Yunlun kingdom is up to. The girl grabs the sword, informing her that the shepherd will soon find out for herself. The girl absorbs the powerful energy of the dead man. Shepherd is surprised and tenses up slightly. The girl recreates a huge crossbow, pointing it in the direction of the shepherd. Yi Yun yells out to Mistress to be careful. The girl knows about the shepherd's techniques. They had a trump card up their sleeve. She chains the shepherd. Her brother's death was not in vain. The girl says that great justice will be served today, which she and her brother will achieve together. The shepherd doesn't realize anything as he tries to get out. The girl says to relax, for she will accompany the shepherd on the road to hell. Suddenly, the crossbow releases a huge arrow. Shepherd is surprised that this thing was actually able to penetrate her body. Yi Yun asks what he can do later, but the shepherd yells for Yi Yun to take his sister and run. Yi Yun picks up Jian Xiaoju, running away with her. Shepherd closes his eyes, trying to focus. She begins to reincarnate into a different body. She heals her wounds and the huge arrow disappears little by little. The shepherd gently lowers himself to the ground. Yi Yun takes cover against the flames, holding sister Xiaoju. The shepherd wonders that if killing wild animals isn't a crime, then why doesn't she squash a few bugs then too? Yi Yun asks why the Yunlun kingdom needs to get rid of them so badly. The shepherd says they are afraid that if she continues to live, she will later level the entire kingdom. Yi Yun didn't care about these squabbles between humans and beasts. He only needed to protect his sister. The shepherd gets close to Yi Yun, asking if he knows who she is. The shepherd asks if she should also destroy Tai He at the same time. She wants to know Yi Yun's opinion. Yi Yun asks to be reborn from such a thing and be merciful. The shepherd tells us that in the battles of men, kings are killed and forgotten, and in the battles of beasts, whole races are exterminated. She clarifies if Yi Yun wishes to be away from all of this after meeting her. She says that no matter what Yi Yun's choice is, the next time they meet, they will already be fighting together. The shepherd asks, Yi Yunya prepares? Yi Yun pressed Jian Xiaoju tightly against him. The amethyst in Yi Yun's body pulsed furiously. Soon, Yi Yun loses consciousness, falling to the ground with his sister. The girl points Jian Ge to the fire ahead and asks him to hurry. Jian Ge understands and asks her not to rush her. Kang Yang flew over the forest that was blazing with bright fire. She tells Jian Ge that it's her turn to act. Jian Ge notices how impatient Kang Yang's little sister is. Jian Ge directs a powerful stream of energy towards the forest and puts out the fire. As the flames and smoke from it settled, Yi Yun and Jian Xiaoju could be seen on the ground. Kang Yang doesn't understand where the smell of dead people is coming from if Yi Yun and Jian Xiaoju are still alive. Jian Xiaoju roughly points towards the dead man. Kang Yang notices that the dead man is one of the elders from the Yunlun kingdom. Kang Yang and Jian Ge will have to explain all this somehow. Jian Xiaoju decides to send them on a flying ship. Kang Yang takes Yi Yun and Jian Xiaoju onto his shoulder, noticing Jian Ge leaving. Kang Yang resents Jian Ge taking all the work on her. Jian Ge says, "Are those with only muscles instead of brains needed for this?" Kang Yang irritably grabbed the dead elder. She throws her body upwards at Jian Ge. Yi Yun finally opens his eyes and rubs the back of his head. Yi Yun notices the two elders of the Taihei divine realm in front of him that introduce themselves to him. Yi Yun wants to know where his sister Jian Xiaoju is now. Elder Jian Ge says that sister is in the neighboring guest room of the flying ship. Jian Xiaoju is all worried about Yi Yun. The elder asks Zheng Tian to come in to see them. Zheng Tan asks the elders to punish him for his blunder. The Taihei Divine Realm Elder explains that they can't punish the members of Jin Lunwei anyway. The elder remarks that as Su Jie has fallen off the entire post again, so he will take over his duties for the time being. Zheng Tan says that although he recently questioned Yi Yun, he will have to do the questioning again. Yi Yun wondered if he could ask the elders a question first. Elder Kang Yang allows Yi Yun to ask his question. Yi Yun wondered if his victory in the Taihei Divine Realm competition had been cancelled. The elder realizes that Yi Yun is afraid that he will be turned away. Yi Yun denies the elder's words. He is only worried about the tribe and his sister. Elder Kang Yang argues that Yi Yun doesn't have to worry, as they will take care of them. Yi Yun thanks the elders. He will definitely tell them everything he knows. Elder Jian Ge notices Yi Yun's cunning. Elder Kang Yang asks Yi Yun to tell the whole truth immediately. When Yi Yun tells all the information, the elder clarifies if it's all of it. Yi Yun says that after he was knocked out by those two kidnappers, he woke up here. Elder Kang Yang is angry at these people from the Yunlun kingdom that they couldn't even harm a shepherd. Elder Jian Ge realizes that they have learned nothing new. Zhang Tan reports to the elder that Su Jie has gone to track down the shepherd. Elder Kang Yang is even more angry that Su Jie was brought in. She leaves them to chat further and walks away. Elder Jian Ge tells Zhang Tan to contact Wen Yunho and Zhao Zi, and be quick about it. Soon Yi Yun is left alone. Jian Ge senses a bit of wild qi in Yi Yun and asks to be told where it came from. Yi Yun explains that he just told the elders everything. Jian Ge is not going to beat around the bush. Jian Ge walks closer to Yi Yun and wonders why the shepherd left Yi Yun alive. Jian Ge asks if Yi Yun wants her to help him confess everything. Yi Yun apologizes and explains that there is nothing this ignorant young man can do to help. Jian Ge grudgingly says what a prick Yi Yun is. She stands up and says that Yi Yun is being covered up because the Yunlun kingdom wants to hurt Yi Yun. She remarks that in both cases, it was because of Yi Yun that the shepherd appeared. She reveals that although the shepherd had no plans to avenge a past disaster, Jian Xiaoju leaves, saying that if Su Jie doesn't give an adequate explanation for this, they won't cover for him anymore. Yi Yun is once again left alone in the room. He doesn't understand what the hell is going on with him all the time. Jian Xiaozhou asks Elder Kang Yang if Yi Yun is all right. She explains that it's not that simple. Jian Xiaozhou asks to be told what's wrong. Kang Yang explains that they are the elders of the Taihei Divine Realm. Jian Xiaozhou should understand what that means. Jian Xiaozhou fretted that Yi Yun might have made an irreparable mistake. Elder Kang Yang explains that what has happened in the past couple of days is extremely strange. There are a lot of different forces involved, which is very rare in this world. She adds that Yi Yun was involved in all the incidents. Jian Xiaozhou might not see Yi Yun again. Jian Xiaozhou starts crying, not understanding why this is happening. Kang Yang will forgive Jian Xiaozhou not to worry, because she will be given a place to stay in the kingdom where Jian Xiaozhou can live happily. Jian Xiaozhou wipes away her tears and states that she doesn't want anything. She just wants to be by Yi Yun's side. She explains that Yi Yun was unwillingly dragged into all these events, and the elders took him into custody. Jian Xiaozhou says that considering what forces are involved here, it comes out that Yi Yun may be put under house arrest. Elder Kang Yang wondered how Jian Xiaozhou was able to guess so accurately. Jian Xiaozhou kneels down and humbly asks the elders to allow her to be together with Yi Yun. Yi Yun is the only one Jian Xiaozhou has left, so if need be, she would do anything for Yi Yun. Jian Xiaozhou drives Kang Yang into the paint, so she asks Jian Xiaozhou to stand up. Kang Yang clarifies, "Is Jian Xiaozhou really not afraid to take such a risk for his brother?" Jian Xiaozhou explains that Yi Yun is her only ray of light in this world. Kang Yang turns to Jian Ge, saying that Yi Yun and Jian Xiaozhou are very difficult to match up with. Jian Ge asks to listen to her carefully, because Su Jie and Wen Yunho are missing. She explains that in order to prevent further changes, they will take Yi Yun to the Taihei Kingdom tonight. They fly to the holy city of Tai. Kang Yang complains that guiding a flying ship with Chenergy all night is extremely exhausting. Jian Ge asks not to forget about what she told last night. Kang Yang sits on the railing and complains about how incredible things are happening one after another these days. Jian sighs, not understanding why they have to scramble around like this. Kang Yang is annoyed that it all looks like they're constantly running away. Jian Ge says that fate will catch up with everyone sooner or later. She adds that the shepherd's actions this time around were far more extensive than they were a decade ago. Jian Ge realizes that it's time to implement new plans for the retreat. Yi Yun wakes up thinking it took cutting him off to move him to another room. Yi Yun notices the strange ceiling above his head. Kang Yang enters the building, asking what Yi Yun is rambling on about. Yi Yun is immediately curious about his sister and the tribe. Kang Yang explains that it will still take a long time for the tribe to move. She yawns, adding, regarding Yi Yun's sister, that she's right outside the door. Yi Yun doesn't understand, and instantly explains that Jian Xiaozhou is not guilty of anything. Kang Yang asks that Yi Yun not raise his voice and advises him to ask Jian Xiaozhou everything. Jian Xiaozhou excitedly walks over to Yi Yun. Inside the residence of the ruler of the Taihei Holy City, Jian Ge says everything she and Kang Yang know. The residence manager wonders what Jian Ge's transpositions are on the Yi Yun kid. Jian Ge asks the head if she already has plans for this. The supervisor allows the following to be suggested. Jian Ge suggests sending Yi Yun inside the main cultivation tower of the city castle. She adds that Miss Lo should be directed there as well, which goes without saying. The supervisor leaves Yi Yun to Jian Ge's discretion. Yi Yun realizes that since it's his sister's choice, it should be. Jian Xiaozhou holds Yi Yun's hand and says that he should go to Elder Kang Yang to discuss his future with her. Yi Yun looks at Elder Kang Yang, who is already asleep, and remarks that she shouldn't wake her up now. Jian Ge returns and asks Kang Yang to take Yi Yun with him. Jian Ge notices that Kang Yang has fallen asleep. She looks at Kang Yang threateningly. Kang Yang remarks that she herself has become a foolish trustee by giving in to temptation. Kang Yang says that after learning the theory, it is time to practice, as all martial artists like to do. Yi Yun is surprised that this is all for him. Kang Yang reveals that the test tower inside is like a separate world, and Yi Yun can't escape from here. Yi Yun awkwardly says that he doesn't have any elixirs or strengthening pills with him, and his teacher is absent. Kang Yang unhappily reasoned why she was ordered to train Yi Yun. Kang Yang asks what the leader and Jian Ge were thinking. Suddenly, Kang Yang turns around and notices a girl on the roof of a building. Yi Yun notices that the concentration of Yan Qi in Tai City is really high. Spiritual Mountain Tao is worthless in comparison. Yi Yun pondered over the effect of the space here, realizing that the amethyst had greatly accelerated the energy boost. Yun easily passed the tests, but ended up being imprisoned in such a wonderful place. Yi Yun hopes that it's not because of Old Man Su Jie's reputation. Suddenly, Yi Yun realizes something important. He recalls the Desolate Heaven technique scroll that Qin Tong had given him. Suddenly, Yi Yun notices some object flying at him from behind. Yi Yun quickly dodges the stone. The stone changes its flight trajectory and heads towards Yi Yun once again. Yi Yun catches this stone palm, asking who is next to him. A young girl sits on a small rock, marveling at Yi Yun. Yi Yun asks the girl why she attacked him stealthily. Luo He introduces Yi Yun while smirking. Yi Yun has never heard of her before. He's wondering what Mrs. Luo wants here. Mrs. Luo claims that she should be the one to ask what Yi Yun forgot here. An awkward silence ensues between them. Luo He says that if Yi Yun didn't disturb others at night, she wouldn't care about Yi Yun's training. Yi Yun wonders if Luo He is being held here. Mrs. Luo boils at Yi Yun's insolence. Yi Yun says that neighbors should not harm each other, but instead have an obligation to help each other. Yi Yun apologizes for his lack of clothes on and offers to talk next time. Luo He is embarrassed after noticing Yi Yun's torso. She turns away, telling Yi Yun to practice and not to disturb anyone. She claims that if Yi Yun doesn't do it, she will bury him in the ground. Luo He doesn't understand how anyone can even live next to such an inept Yi Yun. Suddenly, Yi Yun notices a familiar hairpin on Miss Luo. He remembers a girl in the real world that he liked. Yi Yun stops Luo He and wants to know where she is from. Luo He says goodbye and hopes she won't see Yi Yun again. Mrs. Luo quickly walks away and leaves Yi Yun alone. Jian Ge notices that Yi Yun and Luo He had a fight right after they met. Kang Yang realizes that the leader has ordered Jian Ge to keep a constant eye on the two children. Jian Ge confirms other people's words, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to reside here in the artificial world created. Kang Yang wonders why Yi Yun and Mrs. Luo have already had a fight. Jian Ge explains that in order to create his own place for Yi Yun to practice, we'll have to keep him here for 2 more days. Jian Ge would also be displeased if she were Mrs. Luo. Kang Yang reveals that the leader ordered Yi Yun to be trained, but she doesn't understand what it's all for. Jian Ge explains that it's all to understand why Yi Yun is so interested in the shepherd. Kang Yang is going to prepare everything first. Jian Xiaozhou notices some voice outside. She thinks it's the uninvited guest who came last night. Yi Yun explains that it was Kang Yang who came. Kang Yang asks Yi Yun to come out. She brought a couple of useful things. Yi Yun walks out of the house. He is surprised when he notices what Kang Yang has brought. Kang Yang tells him that all these weapons are still pretty good, so Yi Yun has to choose any 2 weapons. Yi Yun thanks Kang Yang and asks if she can also choose from the one behind the elder. Kang Yang doesn't allow it, because it's for training. She adds that if Yi Yun can't capture them, she will die. Jian Ge asks to stop scaring Yi Yun and clean up all the trash. Jian Ge will show Yi Yun something. Yi Yun doesn't realize that Kang Yang knew what she meant. Jian Ge says that Yi Yun will find out soon. Jian Ge goes with Yi Yun to a large stone building. Yi Yun notices many different weapons around him. Yi Yun is thrilled to see better specimens. Jian Ge wondered what kind of weapon would attract Yi Yun's attention. She says that if Yi Yun can't decide, she'll do it for him. Yi Yun says he'd rather put his life on the line than this. Jian Ge resents how Yi Yun dares to cross her. Yi Yun notices the blade and wonders what its name is. Jian Ge notes that Yi Yun has an eye like a falcon. She tells him that she had to work hard to get this blade. Yi Yun pulls out a blade and asks if he can take it. Jian Ge says that Yi Yun can take it. the main weapon, just so he has the strength to control it. Yi-yun asks what will happen if he fails to match the blade. Jian-ge is surprised, noticing the impossible. She recalls the owner of the blade. Jian-ge says that if she wins this battle, this blade will be hers. The owner claims that Jian-ge will have to tackle him first. Jian-ge accumulates a powerful energy in his blade. She points the blade toward the guy with mighty power. The guy easily dodges, disappearing into Jian-ge's path. Jian-ge is surprised and notices something amiss. The guy gets behind Jian-ge and says she's not the only one wishing for victory. Suddenly, the guy notices his foot being enveloped in ice. Jian quickly steps back and says that the guy is about to taste something special. It rises to the top, storing up its energy. She produces 10,000 blades around her. The guy is trying to free his feet from the ice. Jian-ge points 10,000 blades at the guy. Jian-ge yells for the guy to go back to his forefathers. There are 10,000 Jian-ge blades looming over the guy. Yi-yun notices elder Jian-ge thinking about something. Jian-ge replies that it's fine. Yi-yun says that given that the trial will be dangerous, then he needs something long-range. Yi-yun will be an archer. Jian-ge remarks that this is clever and thinks that Yi-yun doesn't want to be a swordsman anymore. Yi-yun claims that no one said you can't use two styles at once. Yi-yun wants both. Jian-ge allows Yi-yun to take the bow. She says the bow is one of the best tools, but requires quite a bit of practice. She tells me that it takes a lot of effort to string a bowstring. Yi-yun draws the bowstring, asking if he's doing everything right. Jian-ge was surprised at how easily Yi-yun was able to do this. Yi-yun confidently draws his bow. Jian-ge surprisingly asks Yi-yun to draw the bowstring once more. Yi-yun brags about his skills. Jian-ge realizes that Su-jie's eyes have not failed him, for Yi-yun is indeed gifted. She recalls being surrounded by a multitude of beasts. The guy says they have no way out. He's going to distract the monsters. Jian-ge claims the kid won't make it. The guy thinks it's better that way, then they all die together. Su-jie says that the guy is once again standing out as a hero, and this time he himself will stay to protect everyone. The guy replies that Su-jie will have the strength to get out of here. Su-jie is outraged that the guy is ignoring what he's telling him again. The guy powerfully punches Su-jie's stomach with his fist. He says that's right. Jian-ge is surprised by the guy's decision. A guy throws himself into a fight with huge monsters. Jian-ge says that when they went into the wild territories, they stayed alive, though at the cost of one comrade. She says the underlying cause was clashes with a wild tribe. She explains that they were young and reckless. Yi-yun says that Jian still hasn't told him anything since yesterday. Jian doesn't say that if Yi-yun wants to hear the whole story, he has to complete the task. Yi-yun is unhappy that he won't hear the whole story. Jian-ge asks Yi-yun to clean up first. Yi-yun realizes that Jian-ge scattered weapons everywhere to look cool. Jian-ge confirms Yi-yun's words. Jian-ge asks Yi-yun to put away his weapons and get down to business. Yi-yun wondered what he was going to have today. Jian-ge takes out a huge arrow and drives it into the ground in front of Yi-yun. She says that if Yi-yun can lift the arrow, let it be considered a gift. Jian-ge says that this meteor arrow can easily pierce strong wild beasts. Jian-ge explains that Yi-yun has only yet to realize the gravity of the arrow. Yi-yun grasps the arrow and accumulates strength. He thinks he should definitely pick up the arrow. Yi-yun tries to lift the arrow and notices it ducking under the ground. Yi-yun slowly begins to pull the arrow out of the ground. Jian-ge notices how the energy of the earth and heaven arranged its penetration into Yi-yun. Yi-yun accumulates all the energy while still reaching for the arrow a little more. Jian-ge sees that this is Yi-yun's limit at the moment. The exhausted Yi-yun releases the arrow and falls to the ground. Jian-ge says that Yi-yun has a weak base and strength is still a little low. Yi-yun tries one more time to get the arrow. Jian Ge gives Yi Yun the pills and tells him that he must sink 3 arrows into the steel wall in 3 months. Yi Yun unties the pouch and takes out one of the pills. Kang Yang notices Yi Yun's stubbornness. Yi Yun hears someone say that he was forced to train in weightlifting. Mrs. Luo claims that Yi Yun's luck has finally run out. Yi Yun apologizes and tells Luo Hei to show up normally next time. Mrs. Luo is indignant that Yi Yun keeps blurting out his tongue. Yi Yun doesn't understand where such nonsense comes from. Luo He comes down from the roof of the house to Yi Yun. She tells us that these spears are used to kill strong wild animals. Yi Yun is surprised when Mrs. Luo pulls out a spear from the ground. She throws the spear into the wall with mighty power. Yi Yun admires what an incredible woman Mrs. Luo is. Mrs. Luo tells Yi Yun not to slack off, because even a child in Taihe will kill Yi Yun in a heartbeat. Mrs. Luo tells Yi Yun to follow her while she's in a good mood. Yi Yun understands what is expected of him in Taihe. This is reassuring to Yi Yun. Kang Yang would never have thought that there was an outstanding cook like Jian Xiaoju living in the wild plains. She smells a wonderful odor from the food. Jian Xiaoju says that she has only just started learning how to cook from Yi Yun so far. Kang Yang wonders if Yi Yun is also a great cook. Jian Xiaoju recalls Yi Yun's words that fate connected him to Su Jie through delicious food. Kang Yang doesn't understand why Jian Xiaoju would weave Su Jie in here. Jian Xiaoju asks to call Yi Yun for dinner. Kang Yang explains that Yi Yun won't be back for a while yet. Yi Yun tries to get the spear from the ground for the 5th time. Yi Yun sighed as he once again failed to get his spear out. Yi Yun realizes that every time he fully replenishes his strength, the lifting time of the spear increases. He is glad that the Taihe Kingdom is providing him with so many resources. Yi Yun realizes that lifting the spear isn't that hard, but securing the result is a challenge. He's going to raise the spear one more time. Jian Ge watches Yi Yun's efforts. Kang Yang asks if Jian Ge is tired of watching Yi Yun. Jian Ge sighs. After all, this is her mission after all. Kang Yang sits down next to him and asks if Jian Ge has figured out anything. Jian Ge says that Yi Yun absorbs the spiritual energy of the earth and the heavens to recover. She said that according to Tang Hu's assurances, Yi Yun was surrounded by wild beast energy, which made Yi Yun grow by the hour, not by the day. Kang Yang is surprised that Yi Yun can absorb spiritual energy in a new way, similar to the wild tiger clan. Jian Ge says to Kang Yang not to talk nonsense. She briefly explains that the life growth formation requires the same beast pills as the energy absorption technique.